Hey there, my name is Brent Wolff and this is my channel. Welcome back if you've been here before and welcome if you haven't. In today's video, I'm going to be reviewing Treehouse, the debut album from the electronic pop duo Sofi Tukker. But before we get started, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and comment down below what are your thoughts on the albums. Any favorite songs, things you didn't like, things you wish you heard, let me know down below. And with that being said, let's get into it. Last week, April 13th, Sofi Tukker released their debut album, Treehouse, and it is seriously so incredible. Now, for those of you that don't know, Sofi Tukker is comprised of two people, Sofi Holly Weld and Tucker Halpern. The band Sofi Tukker originated from New York, but Sofi and Tucker both met while attending Brown University back in 2014. Up until the last few months, their most popular song was called Drinky, which was featured on their 2016 EP, Soft Animals, and that song actually went on to be nominated for a Grammy last year. But with the release of this new album, they have so many more songs and so much more material that I'm sure you've actually heard before, but we'll get into that in a little bit. To start out this review, I'm going to be going through the things that I liked the most about this album. What I think I like most about Sofi Tukker is that they aren't afraid to incorporate all sorts of different types of instruments, whether it's like drums and guitars or it's synths and drum pads. They have this wild blend of music that works out so well for them. Another thing that their music is really notable for is the incorporation of Portuguese language into a lot of their lyrics and a lot of the songs, and the way that they have a sort of Latin-inspired, like a bossa nova sound to a lot of their songs. Kicking off the album is their song Fuck They, which, as you can hear by the title, is a very strong message song about not wanting to fit into any sort of mold or not really wanting to give in to any sort of like stereotype or type of music or image or anything like that, and just saying, you know what, I'm gonna do what I want. And what makes this song really work is that Sofi's vocals are very hushed and a little sultry in the verses, and then as soon as you get to the chorus, it's just, I don't give a fuck about they, and so it has this sort of like dichotomy between this sort of soft side with just the very harsh and very just strong statement. And of course the backup vocals to Sofi is provided by Tucker, and it's very just a hype man sort of situation where they have this sort of back and forth in the chorus and in like the post-chorus that is just so much fun. And even though this message sounds abrasive to those that might not ever have heard their music before, it really just shows that they're here to have a good time, they're here to have fun and to just be themselves, and that not everything has to be so serious. Following up Fuck They is their song Energia, which is an all-Portuguese song, and as you can guess by the title, has a lot of energy to it. Stemming from a poem by the Brazilian poet Chacal, which, total apologies if I'm butchering that name, it also features the Brazilian instrument charango. It's the first glimpse of Sofi Tukker that we get from this album that features that sort of bossa nova vibe to it, and it's just really fun in how they incorporate this electronic house beat to it with these super bossa nova Latin flares. Compared to the first two tracks, the next song is Benadryl, and it's very different from the rest of what's on this album in the way that it's so stripped back. It's a lot slower and a nice change of pace from the very just quick first two songs on the album, and it sort of just gives us a little breather, and it really lets us know what Sofi's thinking about just needing to take some time back and really just needing to relax, whether it's in this relationship that she's singing about or if it's in other aspects of her life. It's just, this song is about taking a breather. Overall, this is definitely one of my favorite tracks on the album because I just really think it shows their diversity in their music and the different depths to this album. We get this really out loud and proud, strong message from Fuck They, but then we get their bossa nova sort of side and this very Portuguese elements to it in Energia, but then in Benadryl, we get to see what they can do when they tone it back a little bit. But not too long after, we get their song Batshit. Unlike most of the other songs where Sofi is leading the vocals, this is Tucker's time to shine. It also is very reminiscent of Right Said Fred's Too Sexy, but I definitely don't mind because of the way that they really change it up throughout the rest of the song. I think the juxtaposition that we get between Tucker's deep bass vocals, which are unaltered and not edited like Those are his deep notes compared to Sofi's higher notes and her higher octave. I think they just mesh so well together. And I think the bass line, this sort of like really funky bass line that we get leading into the chorus, is phenomenal. Like, definitely one of my favorite bass lines ever, and you just can't help but want to dance to this whole song. But speaking of having a good time listening to their music, the next song is Good Time Girl, which is really the sort of internal struggle that Sofi has about just wanting to sort of stay back and lay low and just dealing with her own internal issues, but also having to live up to this sort of like image or this sort of persona of just always being a good time. And I think it's definitely a message that a lot of us can relate to of, you know, just wanting to stay home and wanting to figure things out for yourself, or not really sure like how you feel on any given day, but knowing like, okay, I have to go out, I have to do this thing, I have to be this person to all these other people, and feeling like you owe someone that sort of side to you. I think for as fun of a song this is, it actually has like a pretty serious message to it. And again, later in the album we get the song My Body Hurts, which, whereas Good Time Girl is about sort of just dancing through the pain and going through these sort of emotions and not letting this inner conflict show, in My Body Hurts, it's like, I'm over this, I'm done with this, I have reached my limit, I'm at max capacity, and my body just hurts. But all of the internal struggles and internal conflicts are washed away in the song Baby I'm a Queen, which is all about just embracing this loud and proud side of you, but also embracing the times where you're vulnerable. On Twitter and in their music video, they explained that this song is really just honing in on those kids that never really subscribe to any sort of box or any sort of stereotype and colored outside of the lines, and just tapping into that sort of attitude and that sort of energy of just fully loving and embracing who you are. It also taps heavily into feminism and what it means to be a woman for Sofi and for all the other female listeners out there who feel like they can be that sort of soft side but also be an empowered woman. The last song on the album is Best Friend, which is a collaboration between Sofi Tukker, The Knox, Nervo, and Alessia Eno. You probably recognize this song from the iPhone X commercial and the animojis that were lip-syncing along to the song, and overall it was just a really great match between product and the song. And again, it features the same messages of just having a good time and just having fun and enjoying your friends, whether they're old, new, or still developing. It's just embracing those people around you and celebrating the relationships you have with them. What I like overall about this album is that it's so much fun. I really can't describe it any other way than just a lot of fun, and you don't get bored at all throughout the albums, and even at the low points, which I'll get into in a little bit, it's just such a good time. And at 31 minutes, it's really concise and shows exactly what Sofi Tukker can do and came to do. But like I said, there are a few low points, so before I give my overall thoughts, let's just go into those for a brief second. The only two songs on the album that I don't even have a problem with them, I don't think they're bad in any way, I just don't care for them as much, are Johnny and The Dare. Both Johnny and The Dare go back and forth between Portuguese and English, and overall, they're okay songs. They're not bad, they're not my favorite from the album, they're just sort of there. I guess just the main thing that I don't like about Johnny in particular is that we've had it out and we've heard it since January 2017, so I really just don't think it belonged on this album as much as the other ones, just because we've heard it for so long now, and I feel like it would have been more exciting to hear something a lot fresher rather than something that I've already heard a lot of for the last over a year, really. And with The Dare, it's a fine song, it's just pretty repetitive to me, and while I really enjoy the Latin flair that this song in particular has, I feel like the lyrics and the verses are just, it's like an interlude, that's what it feels like. It feels like an interlude to the album and just sort of like a palate cleanser, but it doesn't really add anything to the album, I guess. So to give you an overview of what I think of this album, I think it's pretty phenomenal. I really just don't have much to say about it other than just an incredible praise for these two artists who have come together and made such a fun, unique sounding album. Like I said in the beginning, the way that they incorporate so many different instruments and so many different sounds and feelings and emotions, and still having that sort of passion regardless of what angle they're coming in from, it's so just refreshing and just something that I can't help but want to listen to and want to blast in my car and sing in the shower and just do all these things with and see in concert. I just want to experience this album all the time. And that to me is what makes a good album, whether it's an album that is super fun and upbeat like this one, or if it is completely sad and emotional. What I think is a good album is when you feel something, whether it's incredible happiness or if it's just sadness, just something that really makes you feel alive and is just overcomes you with emotions. I think that's what a good album is and what it should do, and that's exactly what Treehouse does. But of course, these are entirely my opinions, and feel free to disagree with me in the comments below, but I do want to know what you guys think of this album. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching my review of Treehouse by Sofi Tukker. Like I said, let me know what you think, but make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and definitely leave some comments below on what you think. In the meantime, feel free to check out my Instagram and Twitter at @TheBrentWolff, or if you would like to catch up on some other reviews and other things that I've posted about, feel free to check out my blog, wanderingwolff.com. With all that being said, I will see you all next time.